Okay, so once again, for those of you who I have seen before, nice to see you again. For those of you who I haven't, my name's Filip. I'm a coach here at the club. I used to be on the Canadian national team, juniors, seniors, Canadian national champion 2016, junior champion 2015, under 21 2015, 2016. So I have a fair bit of experience. So today what we're going to talk about, it's going to be kind of broken down to four main things: block and counterspin. So first we're going to go over forehand block, backhand block, and then from there we're going to kind of shift over into the counter loop because they're both really related. So first thing, I guess, forehand block. So imagine you're playing with someone here. This is just the most basic, I guess, the most basic situation you can get. Consider it practice, he's looping and you're blocking. There's a few things you have to watch out for body-wise before you even think about your hand. So first of all, you got to take the regular stance you do. Your knees are in front of your toes. That's really important. And your chest here is in line with your knees. So it kind of all falls down in front of you and now your weight's forward. Makes it a lot easier to move. Legs is also really important. I coach some groups here and I noticed a lot of people have issues with that. So can everyone see like how my legs are oriented here? So imagine if the table's like this. I see a lot of people with their right leg forward or the exact opposite, their left leg's all the way back here. You don't want either or. You want it to be more or less level with your right leg slightly back. And that's that optimal position. Knees bent, everything, and now you can think about your hand. So your hand has to be up at all times, especially for a block. A lot of people like to drop their hand down and then bring it back up. There's no time for that. If you keep it up, if the ball comes to your backhand or comes really wide, you're always ready. The moment you drop it down, you've lost time. So hand up, everything's bent, everything's forward, now you're ready. Now what you have to think about are the smaller details, which is your finger and your thumb. A lot of people don't like to pay attention to that. They just play with their hand as if, none of the wrist, the fingers matter. They like to just use their whole hand. Especially for block, these two fingers are the most important thing. So think of it as almost like a mini topspin. You're just going over the ball. And this is for block. This is not for counter loop. So even on blocking, you're always giving a bit of spin. If you just give a flat ball, it's really unpredictable. May or may not miss. But if you're here and now you're giving that mini topspin with this finger. So for forehand, you're using your pointer. So if you want, a lot of people like to even bring it up a bit. I don't like that, but if people find that it helps them, go for it. So now you're using that finger and now you're going on top of the ball every time. Everything's down low. And that's really your forehand block. There's a few things you have to watch out for, but all in all, it's not a difficult shot. Now backhand block, same thing, except your legs are oriented the exact same way. That's another thing I've noticed. Watching people around the club, a lot of them like to switch around, so now that their left leg comes back for their backhand. I understand it's easier to get power later on if you want to go for a hard shot, but it's just not correct. Your left leg does have to be forward. Same thing, same position as your forehand, because that way it's a lot easier to switch back and forth if you want to go forehand and backhand. If your left leg's back here, then all of a sudden I have to move my left leg in front, and then I have to transition. Just keep that left leg in front and don't worry about transitioning. So you're down here, and now the same way that pointer there helps you for your forehand, it's your thumb for your backhand. And like I said, some people like to bring their finger up a little bit for their forehand. I'd recommend that you put your thumb on your rubber a little when you hold your racket at all times. When you switch to your backhand, it makes it a lot easier to kind of go over the ball. If your thumb's down here, for example, what you're going to end up doing probably is kind of a push. And a push isn't what you want, especially if the opponent's giving you a topspin ball. If you're pushing, the ball's going to go flying out. You have no control over what kind of spin they're giving. The moment that thumb does go on that rubber, though, now you have control over the angle. So if you want to go lower, drop the ball, you have that ability. But if the opponent gives you less spin, you can always just angle your racket, and you still have that support from your thumb. So now your body's all down, you're ready, and it's really just more or less the opposite of the forehand. It's just a mini topspin. You're always giving a slight bit of topspin just to make sure that the ball is constantly going on the table. You don't have that flatness that I was talking about. And then on top of all that, once you kind of grasp all that, the last thing to incorporate is going up and down a bit with your legs. So for your forehand with your forehand, it's not just this. Now, you see how my knees are automatically becoming a little more dynamic here? That's what gives that little extra kick. And that's not a counterspin, that's still a block. You can be active. A lot of people have that notion that with your block, you're only passive and you're only defending, and that's the end. For practice, that might be the case because you want to make your opponent feel comfortable so that you both have like a back and forth rally. But in the game, that's not necessarily the case. You can be aggressive with your block. And that comes from this dynamic movement with your knees, your hand, all of that together, combined, that's what gives you that kick. Same thing with your backhand, except with your backhand, you're not moving like this anymore. It's more of just a small up and down. So what that looks like is just a small kick. It might be better if, do one of you two want to topspin for me for a few seconds? So watch what I'm doing so you'll topspin, I'll block. So watch what I'm doing with my entire body as he's topspinning and I'm blocking, all right? Just regular. So you see, first of all, how low I am always. My body is never up for this. A lot of people block like this, where their hand is under their elbow. You want to keep your racket always above your elbow in any instance. The only time it drops is if it's a downspin ball and you have to try and topspin that. Other than that, your hand always stays above.